It's Amy, your Gray Girlfriend, and welcome to the Gray Girlfriend's Guide to Life podcast. First, let me say that I'm so happy and grateful that you're here with me. Out of the more than 3 million podcasts available, you chose this one, so thank you. This podcast was created for high-achieving women, real women who face and conquer real challenges, real women who are ready to take their lives to the next level. Between us all, we've been through it all, and I'm here to tell you, you can thrive despite it. So whether you're commuting to or from work or doing one of the other 50,000 things you do on a weekly basis, pop in your earbuds, my friend, and let's go. Hello, everyone. This is Amy. I hope this finds you and yours happy and well. Before we get started, I invite you to join me on Wednesday, June the 24th at noon Eastern Time for a special online event called Summer Reset. I created this event for my podcast listeners, my newsletter subscribers, and my social followers who are curious about RTT and who are ready to go a little deeper without stepping into one-on-one work. Summer Reset is designed to feel personal and supportive and focused. For those of you who can be a bit camera shy, I want you to know that I will be able to see all the attendees, but attendees cannot see each other. And that means you can show up privately and comfortably without distraction or comparison. So if you're curious about RTT and you've been wanting a space that feels safe and meaningful, Summer Reset may be exactly what you're looking for. Tickets go on sale Monday, June the 1st with early bird pricing. By the time this episode airs, you may be able to purchase tickets through my website, but if not, just wait a couple days and check again, or you can email me at hello@amyblairlawson.com and I'll send you the link. Now, back to the podcast. Today's episode is entitled, The Next Right Thing. There's a quiet kind of confidence that changes a life. It does not arrive with fireworks. It does not always announce itself with certainty or a perfect plan or a beautifully mapped out future. More often, it arrives in a moment of honesty that says, I can't see the whole path, but I can take the next right step. Taking the next right step is the heart of transformation. So many people believe they need a full blueprint before they can begin. They think clarity must come first and action second, but the brain doesn't actually work that way. When uncertainty is high, the mind becomes more alert to new information and more sensitive to change and more likely to shift attention toward what helps reduce the unknown. In other words, you don't need total certainty to move forward. You only need enough presence to choose well for the moment you're in. That is deeply comforting, especially if you're standing at the edge of a major life change. Maybe you're leaving a relationship, or imagining your work, or reimagining your work, or healing from burnout, or simply sensing that the life you built no longer fits. In these moments, the invitation is not to force certainty. It's to become responsive and grounded and willing. But you know, the mind wants certainty. The human brain is designed to predict. It loves patterns and familiarity and repeatable outcomes because predictability feels efficient and safe. That is why change can feel uncomfortable even when it is good for us. The brain often interprets the familiar as a potential threat, which is why uncertainty can trigger hesitation and overthinking and the urge to retreat into old habits. But this does not mean you are weak. It means that you are human. In fact, uncertainty is one of the reasons people stay stuck in situations they have outgrown. The known pain, the familiar pain, can feel easier than the unknown possibility. But the brain is also highly adaptable. When conditions change, attention and learning and behavior can shift in service of a new outcome. That means your nervous system is not your enemy. It is a responsive system that can learn a new way of being. For someone who values excellence and discernment and depth, this matters in a particular way. A beautiful life is not merely about surfaces or status or possessions. It is often about spaciousness and integrity and the freedom to choose from self-respect rather than from fear. The most elegant decision is rarely the loudest one. It is the one that honors your values with calm precision. There is a temptation, especially for high-achieving women, to demand an entire 5-year plan before taking the next step. But transformation is usually built one intelligent choice at a time. Carl Jung understood change as a process of becoming more whole, not more perfect. In his view, the psyche is always moving toward integration, and that movement often requires us to meet what has been ignored or split off or outgrown. That is why change can feel both liberating and unsettling. It asks you to leave behind old identities before the new one is fully visible. The next right thing works because it's humble. It does not ask you to control the whole future. It asks you to answer the present with integrity. That might mean making the call or writing the email or setting the boundary or booking the appointment or telling the truth or resting instead of pushing. Small actions matter because the brain learns through repetition and feedback. Every aligned step gives your body and mind evidence that a different path is possible. And over time, that evidence becomes trust. When change is big, the body often reacts before the mind has words for it. You may feel tightness in your chest, or a racing mind, or a drop in energy, or a sudden urge to distract yourself. This is not failure. This is your nervous system attempting to manage uncertainty. Research on uncertainty shows that when the future feels unclear, attention and decision-making become especially important because the brain is trying to reduce surprise and protect itself. That is why people often become indecisive at precisely the moment they most need to move. The body wants safety, but the soul wants expansion. The answer is not to bully yourself into action. The answer is to create enough internal steadiness to take one clear step. This is where the next right thing becomes almost therapeutic. It slows down the process just enough to keep you in relationship with yourself. It says, hey, you don't have to solve your whole life today. You just do what is true now. That is often enough to interrupt spirals of overthinking and restore a sense of agency. There's a cultural myth that major change must be dramatic to be real, but the most profound shifts often happen quietly. You may not need a reinvention. You may need discernment. Discernment is a powerful skill because it removes unnecessary noise. It asks the following important questions. What is actually mine to do? What is aligned? What is merely urgent versus what is truly important? What am I pretending not to know? When you live by discernment, the next right thing becomes clearer. You stop confusing motion with progress. You stop calling exhaustion ambition. You stop romanticizing chaos. And instead, you begin choosing from a deeper center. Jung's work suggests that real development requires contact with the whole psyche, including the parts you would rather avoid. That means your next right thing may not always feel glamorous. It may look like grief or repair or simplicity or restraint. But those choices often build a kind of life that feels solid from the inside out. So what does right really mean? Right does not mean perfect. It does not mean universally approved. And it does not necessarily mean easy. The next right thing is the action that is most aligned with truth and values and timing. Sometimes that means moving forward. Sometimes it means pausing. Sometimes it means asking for help. And sometimes it means walking away. This matters because people often confuse intuition with impulse. But true inner knowing tends to feel grounded, not frantic. It may be quiet, but it has weight. If you're unsure what the next right thing is, ask yourself the following questions. What choice reduces self-betrayal? What choice supports my long-term peace? What would I do if I trusted myself? And what is the smallest honest step I can take today? These questions are important because they shift you from fear-based forecasting to present moment integrity. For those of you drawn to a refined, intentional life, this principle is especially important. You don't need to force your future into existence. You can meet it with poise. A meaningful life is not a life without uncertainty. It is one where your inner world is organized enough to meet uncertainty gracefully. It may look like the following. It may look like choosing quality over noise, or protecting your energy, or honoring your pace, or making decisions that support your nervous system. Or it may be allowing your identity to evolve without shame. The next right thing is often the most elegant thing because it respects the truth of where you are. It does not rush your becoming, it allows it. And once you take one true step, the path often reveals more of itself. Not all at once, just enough. And with that, allow me to say this. May your next step be clear, your heart be steady, and your path unfold with grace. I'm wishing you peace and plenty of the next right things. Until next time, this is Amy, your gray girlfriend. Hey, it's Amy. Did you know that what we tell ourselves about ourselves impacts every decision we make? Every decision. So if you're feeling stuck in any aspect of your life, RTT can help. Want to know more? Go to amyblairlawson.com or click on the calendar link in the show notes to schedule your complimentary 30-minute consultation. Oh, one last thing. I can't forget the legal stuff. You know what I'm talking about. The language a lawyers write that I have to read to you. Well, here it goes. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. While I am a rapid transformational therapy practitioner, a certified divorce financial analyst, and a licensed investment advisor, this podcast is not intended as a substitute for a private session or a consultation. Got it? All right. Until next time, wishing you peace and plenty of all good things.